Imagine a road trip along the picturesque California coastline. In an SUV sit two mothers, Jennifer and Sarah Hart, and their 6 adopted children, all smiling as they head south. They're the picture of family unity, but on March 26, 2018, that SUV would veer off a cliff, crashing 100 feet down into the rocky shoreline. Initially reported as a tragic accident, it soon became clear that this was no ordinary crash. Behind the photos and social media posts of happy family moments was a story of control, abuse, and a dark secret that led to a horrifying conclusion. Join us as we explore the haunting truth behind the Hart family, a story that will leave you questioning everything. Jennifer and Sarah Hart first appeared to the world as dedicated, caring parents, determined to raise their children in an atmosphere of love and activism. On social media, Jennifer was the primary face of the family, often posting about their adventures, their homeschooling approach, and their social activism. The Harts' 6 adopted children, Marcus, Hannah, Devontae, Abigail, Jeremiah, and Sierra, were frequently shown in photos with wide smiles, holding signs at protests, or basking in the beauty of nature. Jennifer crafted a narrative of love, unity, and purpose, a portrait of an ideal family. Their image was celebrated and widely admired, especially within progressive communities. Yet cracks in this picture-perfect facade began to surface for those who knew the family personally. Teachers, neighbors, and even friends noticed unusual behaviors in the children. The first signs of trouble emerged as early as 2008, when teachers noticed the children appeared constantly hungry and underweight, even begging for food at times. This was the first indication that all was not as it seemed within the Hart household. In 2010, Sarah Hart was charged with misdemeanor domestic assault after one of the children showed signs of physical injury. Though Sarah pleaded guilty, the case did little to alter the family's trajectory. Jennifer and Sarah became more withdrawn, more controlling, and even more insistent on keeping their children away from anyone who might raise concerns. As time went on, they opted to homeschool the children, cutting them off from the outside world even further. Reports and allegations of mistreatment and neglect continued to arise, but these were often dismissed or investigated without any lasting action. Friends and acquaintances noticed that Jennifer and Sarah tightly controlled every aspect of their children's lives. While the outside world saw loving mothers, those closer to them observed a different reality: children who seemed fearful, who rarely spoke, and who behaved almost robotically under Jennifer and Sarah's watchful eyes. In 2014, the Hart family shot to national fame with a single photograph: Devontae, then 12 years old, hugging a police officer during a Black Lives Matter protest in Portland. In the photo, Devontae clings to the officer, tears streaming down his face in a moment of raw emotion. The image became an iconic symbol of unity, touching millions and propelling the Harts into the spotlight. Jennifer, ever the master of social media, used this photo to bolster her family's image as compassionate, loving activists. But those close to the family sensed that this wasn't the full story. Devontae's teacher, among others, remembered that he had frequently complained of being starved, often asking for food in a way that suggested deep need. Behind the viral photograph and the idealistic image was a frightened boy, possibly coerced into situations for the sake of publicity. Over time, more people became uneasy about the Hart's life, sensing that something wasn't quite right. By 2017, Jennifer and Sarah's control over the children was visibly apparent to their new neighbors, Bruce and Dana DeKalb, who lived next to the family's rural home in Woodland, Washington. The DeKalbs noticed the children's unusual behavior. They rarely played outside, they were constantly supervised, and they seemed frightened of interacting with others. On multiple occasions, Devontae, who seemed to be the most outspoken of the children, knocked on the DeKalb's door, pleading for food. He shared stories of being punished and denied meals as a form of discipline. The DeKalb's concern grew until they felt compelled to report their observations to Child Protective Services, CPS. In 2018, they filed a report describing the children's unusual behavior and allegations of food deprivation. But before CPS could effectively investigate, Jennifer and Sarah abruptly packed up and left the house, taking the children with them on an unexpected road trip. In March 2018, the Hart family embarked on a journey south in their SUV, a trip that seemed unplanned and erratic. Friends, family, and Child Protective Services CPS had lost track of the family's whereabouts, unaware of their disturbing final path. It wasn't until March 26, 2018, that their vehicle was found on the California coast near Mendocino. The SUV had veered off the Pacific Coast Highway, plunging down a 100-foot cliff into the rocky shore below. At first, authorities considered it a tragic accident. However, as investigators delved deeper, unsettling details began to emerge. the discovery of missing brake marks and other factors shifted the story from an accidental plunge to something far darker. Evidence suggested this was not a spur-of-the-moment tragedy but potentially a planned act. The Hart family's heartbreaking end on the cliffside would go on to reveal a series of red flags, hidden pain, and an unsettling truth behind their seemingly perfect lives, leaving a legacy of questions and a reminder of the unseen struggles people may face. As investigators examined the scene and reviewed the SUV's data, disturbing evidence began to accumulate. The vehicle's onboard computer showed no signs of braking, indicating that the crash was not accidental. Autopsy reports revealed that Jennifer, the driver, was legally intoxicated at the time of the crash. Sarah's system contained large amounts of sedatives, and some of the children had also been sedated. Detectives theorized that Jennifer and Sarah, fearing imminent intervention from CPS, had decided to take drastic, irreversible action. The data suggested a premeditated murder-suicide, where Jennifer drove the vehicle off the cliff intentionally, ending the lives of all 8 family members. Investigators faced the harrowing realization that Jennifer and Sarah, under the pressure of maintaining their carefully crafted public image and fearing potential separation from the children, had resorted to an unspeakable final act. The tragedy brought to light glaring oversights in the child protection system. Numerous reports had been filed, and countless warning signs had gone unnoticed or unheeded. Despite multiple opportunities for intervention, Jennifer and Sarah were able to evade scrutiny, manipulating both CPS and those around them into seeing the family as nothing more than a model of progressive parenting. The Hart children had shown signs of distress, hunger, and fear for years, yet they had little means of escaping the situation. Their only window to the outside world was through Jennifer's social media posts, which painted a carefully controlled and sanitized version of their lives. By the time the tragedy occurred, it was clear that their calls for help had gone unanswered. Reflection on the Hart family tragedy. This heartbreaking case underscores the dangers of a carefully controlled image and the devastating effects of unchecked power. It's a story of children who were denied a voice, kept isolated from any support that might have helped them escape. The Hart family tragedy serves as a chilling reminder of the failures within our systems to detect and act on signs of abuse. In the aftermath, advocates and social workers have used the Hart case as an example of why stronger oversight and more proactive intervention are necessary in cases involving child welfare. It's a stark reminder of how much work remains to ensure that the most vulnerable among us are protected and that cries for help are never ignored. The tragic story of the Hart family is a haunting reminder that appearances can be deceiving. On social media, their lives looked perfect, filled with smiles, happy moments, and an image of love and unity. But beneath this facade, there was a darkness that no one could see. It's a chilling example of how, even in the digital age, we can miss the silent cries for help hidden behind carefully curated images and upbeat captions. This tragedy teaches us the importance of staying vigilant and looking beyond the surface. Sometimes, the subtle signs of distress are right there, waiting to be noticed. It's essential that we don't overlook these signs, even when everything seems picture perfect. By raising awareness of stories like the Harts, we can help prevent similar tragedies and advocate for those who may not be able to speak up. If this story moved you, consider subscribing to our channel. Together, we can bring light to hidden stories and raise awareness about the importance of recognizing the unseen struggles around us. Don't let another story like this go unheard. Join us in sharing these vital stories and creating a world where no cry for help goes unnoticed.